Here we go.
WildHeart versus TFzugrugs.
This is WildHeart versus TFzugrugs. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Storm Division Qualifier number 5 here. I'm your host. I am the Crushinator, and I'm here with Mochrie. How you doing today, Mochrie?
What's going on? I'm feeling good. I haven't cast in a minute, and much less co-cast. So I'm definitely excited to get back in the game. It feels like I'm still casting CCL because I think everybody except IB Tings and Fancy Pants was in CCL here, so it's going to be a good time. It was really cool to see Legacy perform. I always thought he was a bit of an underrated player. A lot of people in my friend group were always like, dude, we knew him back in the HGC era. This guy was good. So it was really cool to see him get back in the CCL, get a shot, and to see more of his play. I've played with and against him for years. I've seen his play. I'm particularly looking at Legacy coming off his championship run, and I'm ready for more.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see the team he's put together for this qualifier. We've got WildHeart versus TFzugrugs coming at you today. Number 2 versus number 7 seed, but this, the seeds are mostly, what we're expecting. Of course, a lot of these teams are new coming in. Of course, WildHeart is not. We've got quite a bit of history on this team here. But we're going to see who advances in this best of 3. I'm going to let the teams know that we're ready so that they can start whenever they want. And while we are waiting on that, let's take a quick look at the map bans here. WildHeart choosing to ban away Volskaya and Sky Temple, and TFzugrugs are banning out Towers of Doom and Tomb of the Spider Queen. And we're going to go to Dragonshire for map number 1.
Okay. Dragonshire is always a really interesting one for me. And I will admit, I think they banned out like all of my favorite maps. That's a bit of a bummer for me personally, but like I was just listening and I was like, oh dang, there goes Volskaya. Oh, there goes Towers. Oh, there goes Tomb. Like I was like, oh no, as you're just going through it.
Yeah, it seems like they've taken out some of the more open maps aside from Tomb. That's one of the smaller ones for sure. So not as much room to roam, not as much room to gank. And it came through from both sides, so it makes me wonder if they're both going to try for more of a team fight style and less of a sort of dodge and macro style. It'll be interesting to see who takes up what role in this series here.
I can definitely see that. I can say through my time playing in the competitive leagues that I was at, and my time being coached at by Cavalier Guests, one strategy that I really came to appreciate on Dragonshire is the 1-3-1. Just one offlane like normal, pretty much every comp. I say that there are 2 offlane comps, but regardless, 1 offlane, 3 in the middle on the roam. They clear mid every 30 seconds, and then they just roam. And then 1 person permanently anchoring bottom, such as a Hanzo, a Junkrat, a Phoenix, a hero who can clear waves, who can defend bot, but still be mostly fine if you leave them alone. That is personally my favorite strategy, the 1-3-1 on Dragonshire. I'm always looking for teams to run it. I think it's hyper efficient. It's what I've got my eye on here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I've been trying to run that with my team. We've been trying some different sort of pseudo offlaners down in the bottom lane. It'll be interesting to see what these, essentially what these pros want to do with this sort of setup as we're setting up for our first ban, and it's going to be Hogger, banned away here by WildHeart. Despite the bans or the nerfs that came through, Hogger's still looking very, very good.
Blizzard didn't ban him yet, Crushinator. How would they come to their senses so quickly? That would be a first.
The biggest nerf in the history of Heroes of the Storm, just straight up global banned. I think the only global ban we've ever had was Zarya, right?
I think so, but I mean, in a way, if you rework a kit away, if you rework an entire kit away, isn't that kit dead in some aspects? So you could almost say that hero is dead.
They kind of banned Toronto, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, old Mouth, dude. Mouth gets reworked so often that me and my friends in college, we would tell each other that something happened X number of Mouth reworks ago. We'd be like, oh yeah, we went to that party that was 2 Mouth reworks ago. And we'd be like, oh, you're right, we did. Like, this is a real thing we used to say in college. So, I used to play DPS, Swag Furion was what they called it. I put all my points into the W talents. I could clear waves. At 16, I was a walking Sergeant Hammer with my Moonfire. And you can't do that anymore, so they kind of
took away that damage, eh?
Yeah,
that damage, not quite the same. See some pretty standard bans coming out here. Cassia, Chromie, Uther. Pretty predictable. Nothing too targeted from what I can see. Just making sure to take out the more dominant and more flexible heroes here, as we see WildHeart Bringing in the Tychus for that first pick. Unaverted going to snap that up.
Yeah, I mean, Tychus, just like a lot of the bands that we're seeing up here, everything on the left side of our screen has been nerfed recently, yet still, despite of these nerfs, or as Crushinator might call them, bans, these heroes are still dominating the meta. This is still a lot of what we've been seeing over time. Medivh, I'm really curious to see how CPX performs on that Medivh. That's going to be an interesting one for sure. If you can pull him off, definitely a menace of a character. And the Red Robot, famously, the joke we always had was that he was the worst tank in CCL. And that is how I will be exclusively referring to him for the rest of the night. He's picked up Diablo, so I don't know, it's just a lot of the same. But of course, as I say, it's a lot of the same. We get a Karazim, so you know, maybe I should just stop talking.
We got the Karazim here from Weary Day. It's going to be Pit Kid actually on a tank. Johanna picked up here. Try to slow down this Diablo, try to slow down the passage through the portals, perhaps, with that Blessed Shield and with that Condemn. Be a bit of a wall up there to help Tychus move forward as well. I do like that pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say, a major problem with Johanna is that if you can move so aggressively as to move behind her, she's actually a little limited in her ability to disrupt that. You may be able to slow people, you may be able to give them a one-time stun, but you aren't really stopping an ally from getting deleted on time. It's very often a problem with Johanna. I'm curious to see where they take it here. A very conventional main tank, almost feels a little strange for Justing.
It could be more of an anchor. It could be something like a Johanna solo in the bot and have a more agile, 3, as you mentioned. You take, something with the Karazim Tychus and leave a solo laner in the top. We'll have to see how they round out this draft. So we see the Thrall ban coming out from TFzugrugs and Stukov banned away by WildHeart.
Possibly effective Thrall play from WildHeart and Scrims. Not exactly sure. I know the targets can't take portals while rooted. I'm curious how that much plays into the equation, but we see a Brightwing and a D.Va on the side of TFzugrugs, who, by the way, don't even have a single TFzugrug. Like, what's that about?
Zugrug in the chat, putting up that team logo.
Still no ranged assassin from TFzugrugs.
Maybe it's an ad. Maybe it's an advertisement. We'll have to see what this last pick is here from Fancy Pants. But first, WildHeart going to round out this draft. It's going to be Dahaka here from Zergling, probably going against that D.Va, and then Falstad here from Buds. So it is just the main Johanna in the front. They'll have a bit of support from the Dahaka, but 2 backliners and the Karazim.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking at this, and I feel like my brain is always far too small to comprehend WildHeart drafts. So I'm not even going to begin to go into that. Instead, I was really buying time so I could talk about TFzugrugs again, who pick up a Hanzo with the end. I will say, I always talk on my stream about how I think Hanzo is insane on Dragonshire. Hanzo is unbeatable on Dragonshire. He's got some aspects that really make him nice. He can be that bot lane anchor. He can rotate. He controls vision super well in that bottom triangle area. He can defend against those bot pushes or murder people in the siege camp area. Regardless of what the comps look like and everything, I'm always just excited to see a Hanzo on Dragonshire. I want to see something big, like what I've become accustomed to seeing on Dragonshire from Hanzo. Blow me away with this one. Let's go.
I'll have to see what Fancy Pants brings out there. I do expect to see Hanzo down in that bottom lane. I'm not sure if it's going to be against, who it's really going to be against. Could be the Tychus, could be the Falstad. Really interested to see how WildHeart rotates with this comp. They've also got, they've got a double global here, so they could make some tricky moves.
Yeah, and double global always just has so many different ways it can come at you. You can be like, wait, hold on, what's going on? I just looked at the map, I just looked at the comps. No one was where they are right now. What's happening? That's how it can almost feel the second you lose a little bit of your attention playing against a global comp. So always exciting for sure.
We'll have to see how it unfolds. Game number 1 underway here. On the left in the blue is WildHeart with Buds on the Falstad, Zergling playing Dahaka, Pitkid on the Johanna. Weary Day is going to be playing the Karazim, and Unaverted on the Tychus.
And on our right side for TFzugrugs, that's more than one, by the way, just like there are on ladder. We got like 30 of them on the NA ladder. But we have Legacy playing Brightwing, Diablo played by Red Robot, IB Tings, I don't know, playing D.Va, I've been wondering that for years. Adrenaline, aka CPX on the Medivh, and Fancy Pants playing Hanzo.
Starting with a measured scuffle in the mid. Adrenaline trying to stack up that level 1 quest. Master's touch there as we see the heavy wave clear on the side of WildHeart. As we actually see a polymorph combo onto Zergling. Gonna have to start moving back. A great drag onto Diablo though. Counter kill for first blood goes over to WildHeart. And we're gonna see a heavy rotation down here to the bottom lane.
Oh man, I gotta say, it really hurts to go for that level 1 fight and not have it work out, as we actually see Legacy start to get gone on, hopefully gonna be okay. You've got him a Medivh, protected by the way, what am I saying? But I think that even though they had a death at the start, it makes a lot of sense for Team Zugrug to go ahead and take that level 1 fight. They've got a target practice Hanzo. They've got a Medivh on their team. Any crucial stacks that they can get on their important baseline or level 1 quests, even if things don't go perfectly well, I think they can make a lot of progress in those scenarios. We already see 11 stacks on Adrenaline's Medivh. Stacks a little bit less important in competitive than they are on ladder, but still, I think that that was a smart decision overall. Just didn't quite work out for Team Zugrugs here. They're a little bit behind on the macro, but still anybody's game so far in the early game.
Fancy Pants gonna have to be a little careful in lane as we see a very full rotation down to the bottom lane once again. WildHeart sticking his force so far, even bringing Dahaka down to the mid, just for a quick moment to see what they could catch. TFzugrugs is working on the right side bruiser to try to help out that top lane versus Dahaka, but already threatening a Dragon Knight here is WildHeart. Interrupt by Ibtings is going to be good. Hanzo's actually going down in the bottom lane, unaverted, converting the kill there as the Tychus. So that lane's not going to be turned back anytime soon. D.Va still has the bomb available. It's going to push it out to the back line, making sure no retreat is possible. Man, this fight just keeps on going. Bud's able to kill on out of there. Barrel roll is good. I think things are starting to settle down here, Mochrie.
The whole time I was like, all right, I can't, I've got this thing to say. And then I was like, oh, they're still fighting. And then I was like, wait, I've got this thing to say. And then they were still fighting. And now I've got this long beard and it's been several years and the fight is finally finished. But I gotta say, you used the word threatening to describe that dragon. That was way more than threatening. I don't know, somehow threatening feels like it undermines how they were probably a couple fractions of a second off of securing that Dragon Knight. And maybe we actually see their first one right. Oh!
It's actually connecting. Giving Red Robot the heave-ho.
Threatening, it was that close. So, huge, and already, not even 3 minutes in, their second attempt to take the Dragon Knight is successful.
Gonna siege the mid here a little bit. This Dragon Knight at 3 minutes doesn't have a whole lot of health and over a whole lot of damage. But, able to throw out those fires, get a little bit of damage on that mid wall, as the rest of WildHeart is going to post up in the bottom lane. Now that puts TFzugrugs, they've got a choice to make. It looks like they're going to leave Medivh up here to try to get some stacks on that quest and rotate the rest of the squad down to the bottom lane. We see that the bottom wall almost taken out already just from that split.
Hey, you know what? Almost isn't quite the whole thing. That tower still has 109 health, and it will proudly stand until a light breeze comes along. But regardless, everyone knows that when you're playing Medivh, the big brain strategy is to let the enemy team have the objective, because, surprise, surprise, Medivh's got 39 stacks. This, yeah, I mean, hey, you lose 2 towers, but your Medivh is about to start shredding people. Usually it's just an excuse when you int on ladder, you tell team, no, we gotta get stacks, this is a good thing. But you know what, I kind of see a silver lining here. Down a full level on the side of TFzugrugs, maybe an early stack to Medivh will help them right the ship. Just one more Q will do the trick. I wouldn't surprise me to see Adrenaline get it here.
Looking for it? Possibly, maybe?
Come on! Oh, my God. You're letting me down,
misses.
Adrenaline. All right.
Taking a look at that XP as we see Unaverted actually flipped over there. Going to try to walk on out of there. Stacks complete.
Stacks complete.
Uh-oh.
To the sky.
Not a
Adrenaline.
second too soon. Adrenaline almost taken out there.
I will say that is a great concept to talk about. Is that generally when you're on something stacking high and you have this big penalty if you die, you want to play less risky when fully stacked. When you've got a lot of untouchable stacks on Tracer, when you've got a lot of Medivh, you generally take it easy. So that you go for the smart ones up there.
Adrenaline saying 39's basically 40.
Yeah, 39, 40. You squint a little bit, you be a little generous in your rounding, and you're there. The enemy team did not see it the same way, but like we said, they got it not a minute too soon, not a second too soon. And
big siege top lane here.
Their strat.
Gonna force out that Diva Bomb from Ibtings. Weary Day actually on the backside has to use the Radiant Dash to get on out of there. As still using the spell armor camp is WildHeart. Gonna have to start to retreat unless Red Robot has something to say about it. Legacy gonna come on in with the warp just in case. But, you know, the 4v3 continues up here, Mochrie.
Yeah, such a struggle back and forth in this top lane, but TFzugrugs' time in the sun surely must come to an end soon, as they are down level 10. They've actually been without Medivh for a while, but still, for a down 10 3v4, they held their own up there. Using their tower range well, using their structures well, or rather the environment well. Somehow managing to hold off and negate a lot of the level 10 advantage for WildHeart. But still notably down in structures and XP. This is really where I think we will see if WildHeart can continue to right the ship, just or continue to make things go right, continue to stay ahead. But this is also an opportunity for a beautiful comeback from Zugrugs, as they're just about to equal up the experience situation right here, right now. Both teams level 10, even with bruisers. This is still completely anybody's game.
Level 10's finally coming online, but it's another Dragon Knight channel coming in here from WildHeart. 2 members on the back camp. This could be trouble here for Medivh. Getting a warp in from Legacy, though, is Adrenaline. So with this portal down, I don't know how long they're going to be able to threaten. Hanzo managing to take back that bottom point versus the Falstad, but WildHeart is coming in heavy.
Yeah, I mean, that was very, very close. Even interrupting the leyline seal. Oh no, Adrenaline not even going to attempt the interrupt in the face of 3 members of the blue team. But I was going to say, if Red could just force a team fight within 40 seconds of that little altercation happening, they would have had a massive advantage in the ultimate economy. Blue team expended 2 ults looking for that pick. That unfortunately Red was not able to leverage that into any kind of significant advantage, as those ults are going to start coming back up in the next 10-15 seconds here. At this point, still a solid WildHeart lead, even with 2 members top lane.
Uh-oh, Weary Day could be in some trouble here. Has to put out the idol to try to get away. Warps into lane, but that's all the dashes. There's the Dragon Arrow going away. Karazim caught out on the edge, taken out there by TFzugrugs. But meanwhile, in the top lane, Buds and PitKid are pushing in, getting a little bit of siege and getting that all-important well, which will really help out Dehaka in this off-lane matchup.
And I love that you mentioned that it helps out the Haka, because a lot of times pressure you put on top lane in Dragonshire isn't to directly help you win the game through Dragonshire. Instead, it's to make things easier for your off lane, or to continually apply side lane pressure with catapults, which will take the enemy team away from the rest of the map as they're forced to come back and defend. We see Gust going on to the Diva Max, slowing it away. Probably what Buds is going to be thinking about doing the entire game, but regardless, I love that you mentioned that, how you help the top laner by clearing out top lane, because you don't end through top. Nobody ends through top on Dragonshire with that Death Brush, so it makes a lot of sense we see here as both teams moving on that camp, but surely very soon on their minds will be who wins the bottom neutral bruisers.
Red Robot thinking about an invade, thinks better of it, just keeping an eye on things. Going to move away from Zerglin there. Falstad's going for
bribing the camp.
He's bribing it, but Zerglin could be in some trouble here. Has to pop the Essence to try to get away. There's the 7-sided coming on out from Weary Day, and TFzugrugs could be stuck here. Short Medivh portal gets everyone resituated. Zerglin somehow... Oh, I thought he was going to get out of there. Finally going down. PitKid may be in some trouble as well, trying to play around with that vision. Great ley line coming out from Adrenaline. PitKid. Oh, the scatter converts the kill. TFzugrugs picking up 2. And possibly more. Red Robot coming back.
Yeah, they're not done yet, Crush.
Oh.
All right, that's going to be just 2, but still. Although the geometry may be simple, I can tell you it is not easy to always land everything. I personally have about a 90% failure rate in exactly that situation, as we see Red Robot going in on Falstad. Gust used to secure his own life. But it's just like I was talking about earlier. When you're high on your stacks, you got something to lose, you don't want to go ahead and play risky, right? Well, in this same situation, you've got a Falstad who can't really be at the fight for about 10 seconds bribing a camp. You can't play risky in that situation either. And that led to WildHeart getting caught out. You know, they're on the map, active in a heavily contested area like the Tribush, while they don't have one of their members available. Zugrugs just exploited that perfectly with their ability to force a 5v4 that WildHeart really didn't want to take in the mid pushes. Very well done by Zugrugs. Still now only down a little bit of experience, but very much equalizing this game with that performance.
Bud's getting harassed a little bit there by Fancy Pants. Is going to go ahead and get back to base. Trying to hold the bottom point here is PitKid on that Johanna. Pops the Iron Skin, but is in the middle of 4. Weary Day trying to create space there. Bud is actually coming on back. Falstad flying back in from the base. Great gust to secure the escape. Oh, the Dragon Arrow is dodged and PitKid's back behind the wall. What a sequence there from WildHeart, getting the Bruiser camp all sorts of time to push in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like watching a movie for a little bit of part of that fight, honestly. Like, it feels almost choreographed, the back and forth. Like each fight has distinct phases.
Oh.
Ooh.
Running out of tricks there in the mid, getting unaverted out of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, just
Worth has been called.
Worth called in the chat. Unfortunately, getting caught out again from PitKid as we see Zergling actually coming in completely juked out of his socks by Red Robot, who's continuing the side steps back and forth. He knows if that's a feeding frenzy like it was, that Dahaka would have another tongue, not landing that time either with a timely portal to escape. And Zugrugs is actually about to equalize this experience gap, but not yet.
Red Robot almost picked off there. The drag into the 7-sided may have been a kill with Falstad bringing in the damage as well. A nice juke indeed. We're going to see Bud's a little bit caught here. Barrel rolls down through and uses that updraft. And the Mighty Gust to escape. Bud's playing a very nice Falstad here. Falstad is usually a little bit flimsy, especially versus a Diablo. But hasn't really been caught so far.
Well, see, the element that you may be failing to consider is that they have a Medivh. When you pair the birds together, they strengthen each other. And that's exactly what's happening here.
Oh, Dragon Arrow not going to land through the gate. WildHeart's going to clear out this bottom left camp. Dahaka just pushing in the top lane, daring anyone to come up and deal with it. D.Va's actually going to cut the lane and head to the top shrine. As once again, we've got it engaged in the mid. Adrenaline hitting a big ley line onto 3. Bud still giving chase here. Backs off before any walls can come into play. So that's ley line down for 70 seconds.
Yeah. That's a long time to be without a critical component of your team, and that's actually exactly what I was going to bring up.
Zergling might have overstayed here. Pops the Essence, going to start heading up through the top bush. The slow coming in from D.Va, though, that's going to be it for Zergling. Getting some value in the bottom lane is WildHeart, but we'll have to see TFzugrugs. They've now got the player advantage. Let's see what they do with this map.
Yeah, absolutely. With player advantage, they can look to convert that into controlling the map. Right now, actually about to go down both shrines as bot neutral bruisers go in, but surely not going to turn into a capture for blue team. They just don't have the map control. Not willing to step forward without Dahaka. But that is going to buy them crucial time for Dahaka to come back up, as red team is forced to just play for the clear, rather than controlling the objective that they would oh so love to have to open up the map. Because realistically, they're looking at least 2 big pushes left in order to finish this game, having to go through all the way the fort, the keep, and the core. So definitely a situation where smart play by WildHeart prevented the opening of a win condition from the side of Zugrugs. Hold on.
Dragon Arrow's going to hit there. There's the Apocalypse coming out, not going to land. Dahaka thinking about coming in here, has to walk forward. Unaverted could be in some trouble. Flipped over by Red Robot, manages to dash away. Buds could be in some trouble. Denies the Shadow Charge once again with the Mighty Gust right on time. WildHeart has been doing a really, really good job of just denying the effectiveness of these engages. As we see Red Robot trying to get saved there. Weary Day gets off the map for half a second. Is it going to be enough? No, Karazim is down. Buzz is coming in to try to equalize, though. Red Robot getting a little bit low. The drag onto Brightwing is good. For Condemn, I should say. Adrenaline going to try to back off here. Red Robot doesn't want to be here any longer. Trying to hearth out. Oh no, Medivh actually goes down. Buds picking up the kill. What a play.
I mean, that was probably the longest drag onto that Brightwing I think I've seen in my life. I was over here checking Dahaka's talent, seeing if he took the extended tongue range. He absolutely did, because I was about to be mad if that was a vanilla range drag. I've gotten wrecked by a few of those in my life, so I know the pain. But that was a very well executed fight from the side of WildHeart. Now up level 20, up a Dragon Knight. Already no forts to worry about. Just going to walk this right up to the keeps. They've even got minion waves in both lanes. This is a fantastic situation to be in right here, especially with Robot getting caught out a little bit. But definitely, at minimum, a keep heavily threatened by WildHeart here.
Terazine making their way back across the map. Medivh spawning in just a couple seconds. The minion wave starting to make its way down to the bottom lane. Looks like Unaverted going to take their time, just throw out a couple flame breaths here and there. Bitkid anchoring in that bush. We've got our two globals actually pushing in the mid right now versus the D.Va and the Medivh. So a little bit of split pressure here. Bud's actually going right up to the top lane. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get any keeps at this rate, because level 20 is starting to get a little bit closer here for TFzugrugs.
Well, we see Falstad in the top lane, and it looks like Zugrugs using that opportunity to apply a little bit of pressure as they're in a 5v4 situation, even down 20. Still a time where they can definitely threaten members of the blue team with a member in the Dragon Knight and a member away. That should be rather difficult for them to stop first kills. Adrenaline actually forced to drop his leyline seal, only hits the Haka, but still red team managing somehow to make it to 20 without even so much as really a damaged keep, let alone a lost keep. It's not how WildHeart wanted this to go.
WildHeart was dancing, looking for a possible engage. It looked like they were going to start moving onto Red Robot. I think that ley line might have ruined their day. But maybe the engage that they want is here. TFzugrugs going in with the Apocalypse combo. Hellgate as well. Going to be gusted back by Buds. Unaverted is in that Odin form, that big red button. Going to start dealing the damage. But now we've got a Medivh chase crew. Oh, the portal's already used though. Bitkid remains dismounted. WildHeart looks like, oh, they may not be able to escape this. Looks like they are going to get back behind this still intact bottom keep wall. Meanwhile, Bud's doing Falstad things, bribing away that camp. Oh, good drag is here onto Red Robot. Manages the Shadow Charge out of the 7-sided. Leyline onto 2 here. Can TFzugrugs turn this around? No Apocalypse is ready just yet, so not able to pair that with the Leyline. There's the D.Va Bomb on the gate. Gonna force Unaverted and Weary Day to back off here. Bitkid is just in there trying to slow down as many as possible and just test after test.
Bud's actually suddenly cycling over to the top lane, actually flew into that, so he does not have to see.
Drag is good onto Medivh. Medivh's in all sorts of trouble. Look at that ley line onto 3. Bitkid is still there, though, interrupting the bird form, and that's going to be it for Medivh. That's a huge find for WildHeart. D.Va trying to clear that top lane push created by Falstad is actually going to take out that keep. WildHeart is up 5-4 right now. I don't think this is enough to go core just yet, but it's good for a possible slow siege onto another keep. We'll have to see how they want to position this.
Yeah, I mean, even though that top keep is open, blue team really does not want to end through top, especially not in the Wombo combo that Zugrugs has with the APOC, with the D.Va Bomb, with the Dragon's Arrow, with Leyline. Everything in that is great if you stand in the hallways. We see a Dragon Arrow come out on only one target of the blue team here. Now everybody's cycling back. But both teams definitely still thinking about how they can open up the win condition. Bitkid getting nearly fully comboed.
Trying to get out of there. Uses that shielding, but Red Robot's not done with Johanna. The push is good from Buds. Johanna trying to get around here is actually going to go down. Iptings and Red Robot so low. There's the mech, and there's a soul reset onto Diablo. Pilot D.Va taken out as well. There goes Brightwing. Fancy Pants trying to hearth away in the bottom bush. Looks like they will do so. With Johanna down, WildHeart once again splitting off here. Bud's going to get some pressure in the top. Oh, it's a Medivh engage. Oh, no! Bud's taken out here to make it a 3-3 on the map. We've got a siege camp here in the bottom lane along with this big red button. See if they can get it, but once again, oh, it's a ley line. Medivh cheats, will not catch Weary Day. Unaverted trying to boost away here. I don't know if they're going to be able to get out of this, Mochrie.
Yeah, they're running away right now. It's actually even 3-on-3, although really 2-on-3 in this engage, as Dragon Knight actually walking past the mid-keep entirely, and red team realizing they got to get back. Hey, if they keep fighting, they lose. So
Dragon is on the core here. Unaverted trying to walk past as well. Red Robot turning that thing around. Diablo could be in some trouble here as the core is down to 80%. Dragon Knight still has a little bit of health left on it. I don't think it can chew through this core. Tychus is on it as well, 40%. 35. WildHeart are going to go for it, but look at that stun combo. Tychus and Karazim are down. Zergling is going to get pushed off the core, and it's going to be stopped at 28%.
Wow. I mean, I did not think that would go that poorly. At one point I was going to call that they had it for sure, which is why it was much better that I kept my mouth shut instead, because wow, I did not think that was going to be turned around in the way that it was. Unfortunately, TFzugrugs really only has so many ways to play with the pressure they've created here. I think that they're going to open up this bottom court, and then they're probably going to loop back around for bruisers. But they don't even have a minion wave effect right now. That greatly hampers their ability to push in for this keep. Their structure damage, honestly, not amazing as a comp either. But we'll see what advantage they can create. At minimum, getting a little bit closer to a win condition. But this keep
look at them go
off of a near white.
They're going to try to get this wall here. If they can at least open up this wall, as Red Robot actually going for an extended APOC combo there. Will not find Buds. That gives them a little bit less siege time here, but if they can get mostly this wall down, the next team fight should allow them to go core. So I like this play and just opening up the sort of the first half of the win condition that they need here. But the entirety of WildHeart is now up and on the battlefield. Buds is actually trying to win the game top. The rest of WildHeart has taken a 4v5, but Diva's down. The drag is good onto Diva, but the bomb will be popped nonetheless. Red Robot in some trouble. Pilot Diva is down. Red Robot trying to get away, stunned out. There's the huge team shield from Johanna. Right wing gonna fall, and Buds back at the core is just winning the game with this bruiser. WildHeart in an exciting opener here is going to take the victory for game number 1. GG.
You can see Buds trying to be a little cheeky with the celebration right there. He tried to time his Z so that it perfectly went over the core. Barely messed it up. I think he ended up flying over at about 2%. Yeah, these are the things I notice when I watch these games. All right. But definitely a crazy performance. I gotta say, I was looking at Zugrugs fighting and I was like, wait a minute, they're losing this battle on both fronts. Not only is the core fight going poorly, but they're losing the 5v4 as well. That was definitely a terrible situation to be in after, and really heartbreaking after such a stoic core defense. Still very well played by WildHeart here.
Having no keeps up means your lanes are under constant pressure against a team with 2 globals. That's a tough spot to begin with. They were going for the quick fights. You saw Red Robot going for a quick beyond the keep engage onto Falstad to try to prevent that macro pressure. But nonetheless, WildHeart playing a very nice game there on Dragonshire. Pick up our first victory. Anything on the talents look at a place there, Mochrie, or does it look like a fairly standard fare?
Oh no, I had something that jumped out to me right away. This to me shows that WildHeart didn't want Falstad, or didn't even think Falstad was going to join their late game fights. We see an epic mount from Buds at 20. Not necessarily a guarantee that Falstad's not going to be there and is going to go for the backdoor every time, but it makes it so much more of a threat. If Falstad can always Z in and out of that side lane, anytime there's even a momentary lull or a moment that Zugrugs can be distracted, that's immediate pressure onto top keep. That's immediate pressure onto core. Permanently. They have to basically instantly and decisively take a fight against WildHeart in order to really negate the effectiveness of such a strategy. And that puts a huge burden onto TFzugrugs here. So definitely an interesting and shrewd pick. That's really how I want to describe this whole game. It's like you can see the experience, the years of playing Dragonshire in how they played this comp and how they played this map. WildHeart understanding that there's not just one win condition to the goal, but instead continually pushing that side lane pressure onto a team that was not very well equipped to handle it. Definitely a very smart move. Epic mount embodying that in the top lane.
Very nicely done indeed. We saw them every time, even when players were getting picked, even when fights weren't going their way, they were getting an advantage somewhere. They were pushing in the off lane, they were stealing a camp. It was always getting value. And I think that showed throughout the game here for WildHeart. Very nicely done. See if we can get caught up with our players to figure out where we're going for our next lobby. Remind myself of the maps. Volskaya, Sky, Temple, Towers of Doom, Tomb of the Spider Queen taken away here. Given the sort of macro prowess of WildHeart there, do you think that TFzugrugs is going to go for the map pick to take them somewhere comfortable? Or do you think the first pick is just too valuable right now?
Honestly, that really is such a divisive topic. I've heard certain drafters say that it's nearly impossible to win draft from second pick, so long as the other team knows what they're doing. I've heard very credible drafters say that, who have a lot of experience in the scene. So I'm always a little bit inclined to think that a team is going to take first pick if they've really studied drafting a lot, just because I know that a lot of the educated drafters I've seen say it makes such a difference for them. But you can never really be 100% sure, but I think I'm leaning towards first pick.
I'd have to imagine first pick will be the choice here for TFzugrugs. If we're thinking about, macro maps left remaining, Cursed Hollow is up and available. Garden of Terror is up and available. I wouldn't exactly call that the same level of macro map. Let's talk about Garden of Terror for a second. This is a much maligned map through different areas of the community. It's a map that people talk about the objective not scaling very well in the late game. It's just a Cursed Hollow clone. You've heard all the things people say about it. Is it a good competitive map? Is it something that you can find different strats on, find different ways to play? Or is it truly a problem, do you think?
I will say, I'm of the opinion that there is at least one major problem with Garden of Terror that can harm the experience a little bit for both the player and the viewer. I'm of the opinion that the lack of a late game boss, in combination with the weak scaling that you mentioned, it really means that in the late game, you often don't have a win condition outside of just wiping the other team. A lot of times, really, you're kind of just standing around for things that you kind of want, but don't really need in order to win the game, until eventually one team is a 3 out of 3. So there's a whole lot of standing around as you get into the late game. Still definitely a big potential for a lot of interesting plays, and if you want to play for holding a lead throughout an entire game and hyper-scaling, then if you stumble at any point, you can run into issues. We actually saw Oxygen run into that issue as they lost an Abathur Vikings game on this map here in CCL, or on Garden of Terror. I don't know if that's the map we're going to be playing on. So definitely,
we do have our next map. Won't be Garden. We are going to Infernal Shrines for game number 2. I don't see who chose it just yet, so we'll have to see that. Let me get you pulled into this here lobby.
I will say Infernal Shrines has always been one that's actually kind of the exact opposite of what we were just talking about. It's Infernal Shrines, historically revered by the professional players and by watchers. Infernal Shrines, you basically always have a win condition, opposite of Garden of Terror, where a lot of teams are standing around for their win condition. The back door is very, very credible with the map layout, especially with the bot lane bush so close to the core. The back door is always a threat. The Punisher is always a threat. There's always so many camps that are a threat at the same time. The Punisher itself, like I mentioned a second ago, just a huge core late game push. So even if you have the advantage on the objective, a lot of teams say you can have first objective, we'll double soak it out. Or, oh, we're going to snowball early and just shove all your structures down and control all the maps. All of the map. There is a lot of different ways to win condition, or to get your win condition on Infernal Shrine. Is huge for the competitive scene.
Absolutely. Great map. We'll see what sort of comps these teams want to pull out. It was WildHeart that chose to go to Infernal Shrine, so TFzugrugs did opt for first pick here. So that'll be different from our first draft. While I've got a quick moment, everyone in chat, you can contribute to the Storm Division prize pool, and you don't even have to use your own money to do it. ! Matcherino in chat. You can put in the code STORMS2, like Storm Season 2, and you will just create money out of midair and be able to give it to the prize pool for these fantastic players. So if you've not done so yet, go ahead and head on over there, Storm S2 in Matcherino. Looks like we've got our lobby about to get started here. We'll see whether WildHeart can finish with a 2-0 or if TFzugrugs can bring this back.
Yeah, TFzugrugs definitely feeling all right with the map choice. I think that as a competitive team, you basically have to be all right with Infernal Shrines. A lot of teams actually typically having a map ban certain teams just sort of having one map ban they just say, this is our ban map. You know, we're not even going to practice it, so that way we have more practice time for every other map. It's
Sure,
pretty
yeah.
much, yeah, it's a very common strategy by HGC teams. It's pretty much an expectation that if you're in competitive, you should know how to play Infernal Shrines, because it's such a common set. Everybody likes playing it. Who would ever make Infernal Shrines their ban map? So it's
Yeah, and
kind of an expectation that they'll be okay.
It's a map that doesn't enforce a style. You can play all sorts of different kind of comps on there. Like if your team just one style isn't working, you can try another and it'll probably work on Infernal Shrines as long as you execute it better. So absolutely well said there. Medivh going to be the ban from TFzugrugs this time. Not willing to give that over to WildHeart.
Yup, and after they just played with the Medivh as well, stacking so early, hitting some consistent ley lines, but I will say, something that I was thinking a lot through last game, it's cool if you hit ley lines, but ideally, what Zugrugs wanted to happen was for those ley lines to be setting up apocalypses. And we almost never saw that happen. When every ley line has to be defensive, when a lot of your dragon arrows have to be defensive, you have very few opportunities where everything is up for you to actually wombo combo effectively. So wombo teams require really good ult economy that unfortunately Zugrugs was just forced out of over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
not something they could pull off before. I want to see if they go a similar wombo style here or what they're going to go for in such a free and open environment here for game 2.
We see some slightly different bans coming out here for Shrines. We've got the Chromie and Mephisto taken away. Two very good long-range mages that can do some work in those pits on Infernal Shrines. Fancy Pants going to lock in a first pick Sonya here.
First pick Sonya, I will say, I actually remember from playing in-houses before CCL, before this last season, some European players came over, we got on this map, we went against a heavy melee team, and they said, hey, pick me Sonya Flex. We played 4-man Sonya Flex on Infernal Shrines, because hey, guess what, when you're into a lot of melee, when you've got all these Shrine minions, then it can actually get a lot of value. So this is a strong Sonya map, always something to spin on, always great side pressure, a lot of camps, the objective is good for you. This first pick makes sense to me.
Sonya can absolutely do a lot of work here on Shrines, but you know who does a lot of work into Sonya? It's Uther and Stukov coming through for Weary Day and Unaverted. The counter will be Zul'jin and Varian. We've been seeing a little bit more Zul'jin since the patch. There was that little hiccup with the bug, but even after that, Zul'jin's kind of been on the rise here.
Yeah, I mean, when you give a character major buffs, that's definitely going to help things out a little bit. I will say that is such an extreme left turn to me to go from playing Medivh, the big brain character, you know, the plays chess with his own brain type character, to Zul'jin, who's all about throwing the axes, you know.
Only question he asks is, you know,
playstyle
whether
shits.
you want or don't want the axe. And you
Yeah.
know, your answer doesn't matter because you're going to get the axe.
Yeah, he's just asking to wonder about the results of him giving you the axe. He wants to know if this thing that's going to happen is good or bad for you.
Yeah.
But always the central problem with Zul'jin that you are dependent on getting stacks, and you are very immobile, and you are susceptible to CC. So if you have blinds, if you have slows, if you have dive, if you have anti-attack speed, I'm talking about Blaze nanomachine coding, that's a perfect example. He's really susceptible to a lot of different ways to sort of mitigate his value. Even biotic armor from Stukov, recently nerfed from 15 to 10 armor, still going to be an irritant for Zul'jin here in the double support comp. A lot of different ways, but I'm still honestly skeptical of Zul'jin even post-patch.
To see whether it works out. Uther Stukov, not exactly the most explosive engage to be had, so Zul'jin might have a little bit of a break there. But it could also be that WildHeart just never really gives Zul'jin the opportunity to stack. There's a lot of places to hide, a lot of places to rotate here on Infernal Shrines. As we see the rotation of Whitemane and Rhaegar. So going with a double support for this Zul'jin. Looks like TFzugrugs is playing for the long game here.
Well, we've got 4 healers in this game right now. We got Uther, Stukov, Whitemane, Rhaegar. A lot of burst healing, I gotta say, in this lineup here. But both teams looking, and then look, even a more supporty style pick in Zarya. Not a full-blown healer, so to say, but definitely a lot of allied defensive capabilities. Just so much effective HP on both sides right here. I think that we're going to see some big team fights right here. Not really looking so much for the split push, maybe with Malthael while the rest of the team installs, but I think we are going to see some great 5-on-5 play. When you have 4 healers out of 10 players and a Zarya too, that's, you know, you're in for 5-on-5 action.
It's gonna be a tussle here. A lot of opportunities for Zul'jin to stack possibly, but there's also quite a bit of CC available on the side of WildHeart. If they key onto that Zul'jin, it's going to be up to Whitemane, it's going to be up to Rhaegar to bring the noise here. Malthael, I believe the only... Nope, Varian has anti-healing as well. So a little bit of anti-healing splashed into both teams. It's going to be interesting.
Yep, Varian's notably not coming until level 13 and being only a 40% negation of heals, or mitigation rather. I believe Malthael's comes online at 7, Touch of Death, and I believe it's 50%, so a notable difference there.
Could see that advantage come in, but game number 2 starting up. WildHeart on the left. Weary Day is going to be on that Uther unaverted, playing the Zarya. Zergling is on Malthael. Pitkid on the Diva. Buds playing Stukov.
And on the right side from TFzugrugs, we have a Legacy on that Rhaegar. Definitely, like I said, a player to watch out for here. Fancy Pants playing Sonya with that first pick. Red Robot on Varian. Adrenaline on Zul'jin. And IB Tings Ib Tings playing Whitemane.
WildHeart playing with the vision so far here, getting the quick stun onto Red Robot. Varian, of course, not exactly a tank until level 4. So we'll have to see whether WildHeart wants to engage onto that and possibly give Zul'jin a couple stacks, or if they want to respect the Zul'jin. Right now it looks like they're just moving up, getting this wave cleared, and going on their way. Sonya Malthael going to head up to the top lane. Weary Day trying to cut off the rotations, which of course is your reward for clearing that mid lane the fastest.
We see Weary Day right here, tanking a lot of damage in the name of vision control, getting his team actually a slight rotational advantage here though. Able to head to mid lane first, which will equal an earlier camp time. Zarya smartly tanking a little tower damage so as to keep up her energy. That's a move you'll see any Zarya doing, any high-level Zarya player. We see here Stukov actually camping out a little bit in top lane, maybe looking for Fancy Pants. He decides better
some trouble in the mid, though. A lot of healing there, but the mech is going to get popped. Diva does not have that turn just yet, but look at the slows coming out. Just glacial speed applied to the side of TFzugrugs is going to be it for Rhaegar. First blood going to WildHeart.
I mean, just, wow. Okay, like I was just about to say, it sucks that Stukov, he went in to heal the mech and the mech popped, and that actually, unfortunately, stops and completely disjoints Stukov's heal, makes it just out of existence, as we saw there, but blue team completely unfazed by that, setting up for their first kill. And I want to point out the talent that we see on Zarya here. Together we are strong at 1. It causes you to get energy based on your teammates doing damage, not taking, but doing damage while they're shielded. Certainly one that's exceptionally easy to stack up on this map. When you see it, you'll typically see 100 energy Zarya for the rest of the game. Pitkid taking a lot of damage here, but I'm expecting to see Unaverted absolutely shred through these teams with near constant full energy.
We saw Pitkid stay out of that mech form for quite a while there, using that Diva damage in pilot form to help clear waves and help put pressure onto the side of TFzugrugs. Pretty bold play, but you know, if you're talking about someone who's known for bold plays, it's definitely Pitkid. As we see both teams now working on their upper shaman camps in preparation for our first frozen shrine of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Pitkid, aka Justing, he's got the confidence in his playmaking that can only come from either years of experience playing that tank position or several illicit substances. Those are the only 2 ways to get that level of confidence in your own playmaking, and he definitely shows that he's got what it takes. He knows that he knows what he's doing in this tank role here, so definitely just always making the plays left and right. Still actually has a bomb ready to go, which does mean they're going to get a lot of security on this first objective. It's a near guaranteed at least 10 Guardians. But still anybody's objective so far, blue team taking out the advantage early on.
TFzugrugs really trying to force out that bomb from Pitkid here to try to deny that advantage, but the bomb is available. There's the taunt once again, trying to bait out that bomb, but Pitkid holding Diamond Hands here in the backline, finally going to drop that bomb. 20-5 on these minions. It looks like WildHeart is going to be picking up our first objective of the game.
Pit Kid holding on to his Diva bomb like it was GameStop stock. Alright, as we see blue team taking out this objective. Strong early advantage. So much area control. Like, I just look at blue and I think Diva, she controls areas. Malthael, kinda, but he really soaks up a lot of minions. Stukov, that's area control. Zarya, that's area control, especially when you get into 10 and we start looking at Expulsion Zone. It's just awkward to try to walk around versus this WildHeart draft. They make it just a pain. There's garbage everywhere as we see a taunt on a Diva. Not able to get her mech out. Huge Legacy fighting away to dodge the freeze from this Punisher. But a strong kill on the defensive end from TFzugrugs here.
Very nicely done. Fancy Pants coming on down from the top lane to try to even up this fight, but may have come a little bit too far. Sonya trying to spin away, will get healed up there by Ibtings. Now WildHeart is actually on the retreat here. Once again, 4v5ing, just maintaining that space with that Stukov, Uther, Zarya. Very, very difficult squad to kill. Finally, teams are going to return to their macro. One thing to note here, neither team focused on a Khazra camp before this first objective. This is the first time that these siege camps have actually been touched.
Hey, Crushinator.
What's up, Mochrie?
82. You know what that is, Crush? Oh, hold on. You got a kill up here in top lane. Circling. Nah, he's going to be fine. 82. That is the number of stacks Zul'jin currently has 5 minutes into this game. And that's a lot.
That is good to note. Over halfway done with those stacks at the 5-minute mark is that's a pretty big deal here for TFzugrugs. One thing with these double support into double support fights, they tend to go quite a long time. And with the zone control coming out from WildHeart, that means they've actually got to step up and control that zone, which means Adrenaline's going to be able to step up and auto attack. So yeah, really. It's hard to say, like, is that a win here for TFzugrugs, or is the zone control comp just going to say, doesn't matter how much damage you're dealing, we're just going to heal through it?
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the side of Stonks here and say, regardless of win or loss, Stonks got to go up. I think that it makes perfect sense for the stacks. I'm rooting for the stacks to win at this point just because I like dings. So at this point, regardless of all strategy, reason, whatever I've learned in my time in the Heroes of the Storm competitive community, I want to see the number go up. We're at 86. He's really disappointed me with how he slowed down.
Zul'jin clearing away that bottom lane. WildHeart with a heavy rotation to mid. Once again, Diva, the source of the taunt, but now all of WildHeart is here. Zul'jin's actually not coming to this fight, trying to just clear this wave. There's the last rights onto Varian, gonna go ahead and convert that kill. One thing to note, Varian did not take the protected on 10. It is Warbringer, so last rights is definitely going to be effective on the front line of TFzugrugs. WildHeart going to claim their first building of the game off of that pick. Very nicely done.
WildHeart absolutely loves to see it taken out. A building right there always opens up that win condition. And the fun thing about mid lane is that almost no matter where you are on the map, if you get a few picks, you're almost always in a position that you can force some pressure onto that.
Circling in trouble in the bottom lane here. Nice warp on through, avoids the spear. How do they know, Mochrie? How do they know? They always know when that CC's coming.
Teamwork and communication and practice? No, it's probably guesswork. But anyway.
I'm pretty sure that they're just guesswork.
Yeah, sure. They get really lucky in these games.
Unlucky for Fancy Pants there. Oh no, Zergling in some trouble. Legacy's actually going to come on down. Betting one too many times. Malthael goes down in the bottom lane, but Malthael's probably, I don't want to say the least important part of this shrine, but close to, as we see 3 members of WildHeart already at a 19-3 minion lead. Pit Kid, actually gets demech'd here. Gonna have to start moving back. Red Robot with the slow. White Mane gonna pop the ult as well. Uther being chased down by Rhaegar here. 4v5s have kind of been WildHeart's jam so far. Malthael is making their way back. TFzugrugs, I don't know if they can get this point back. They just don't have the same level of zone control.
They absolutely do not, and WildHeart loves the Fiesta. He's saying to Adrenaline, you think the Fiesta was your ally? I was born in the Fiesta. This gives me energy. So definitely a situation where they say, hey, even if you are stacked up a lot, we're feeling pretty good. We got that biotic armor. you know, we're just, you know, you can gank our offlane, you can get your stacks. At the end of the day, you're not getting this objective, so you need to find an alternate win condition. And we exactly see Red Team doing that with Fancy Pants trying to open up the map any way they can, because they're not going to get it through that objective. So they need that side pressure. Makes perfect sense to me that they have Sonya way on the other side of the map. So we see a taunt go out onto Diva, and Punisher jumping in on Red Team.
Bomb going to explode there. The speediness of that Bloodlust going to get TFzugrugs on out of there. The Punisher still wailing away on this fort. WildHeart trying to use that for positioning. Jumping forward, just pummeling Legacy there. The silence comes out, but it looks like Rhaegar going to get away here. The double support just popping off on both sides. This Punisher still at about half health here. Sonya getting some great value down in the bottom lane, and Malthael actually coming up to join this fight. WildHeart might be thinking about a keep here.
Well, WildHeart does have a double minion wave right here, and they do have a lot of top lane pressure. Minion wave now arriving, but they're actually going to be departing. They got everything they wanted. Now the map very open for pressure throughout the rest of this game. Next Punisher, I think almost definitely secures a keep, even if it's bot lane. They can play for mid lane, especially with double camp. There's going to be some big pressure from blue team here soon, actually taking this opportunity to play aggressively for the invade, and there's not much red team can do about it.
Zul'jin nearly stacked up, 28 out of 30 on that level 1 quest. Just a couple more autos here or there, and that will be double rotations on that twin axes. WildHeart just going ahead and clearing away this bottom lane. Maintaining space here, always ready to jump into these fights. BitKid moving forward saying, bring the taunt. And there it is, but the Zarya's shield is there, not even budging that health bar.
I will say, getting that double spin on the axe is not hugely impactful in the build that CPX, aka Adrenaline, has opted for. Probably going to see a Q ignores armor and gives percent damage at 16 rather than wrong place, wrong time. No Arcanite axes at level 7. It's definitely nice to have, and it is more damage in your fights, but not nearly as big of a power spike as the extra range at 7. Both teams here, actually, Virulent Reaction going out on a variant, but both teams duking it out in bot lane. Malthael's a little bit late to the party.
TFzugrugs thinking about moving forward. Malthael's thinking about rotating down. Looks like TFzugrugs thinks this isn't the fight for them. Going to start to move back to the safety of their fort for the meantime. Sonya is going to split off here to try to match this Malthael. That's going to give WildHeart a possible player advantage. They might be diving under this fort. Here comes Malthael on the outside. Adrenaline manages to avoid the mark. There's the Bloodlust from Rhaegar to try to aid in the retreat here. Red Robot avoiding that bomb from BitKid, not getting the kill onto the mech. Oh, uh-oh. Divine Shield actually going to go out onto Malthael to try to help Zergling heal up. Great expulsion zone there from Unaverted to peel away for Zergling. Look at that silence. Oh. The unkillable is going to be popped to save Zul'jin for now, getting healed up by Whitemane. Look at all that burst from Whitemane. Incredible stuff there. Zergling going to be the first to fall in this extended engagement. Rhaegar going down as well. We're on a 4-for-4 right now. Taunt is good onto Weary Day, and it looks like BitKid doesn't want to finish just yet. Going
BitKid,
right into the wall. Oh no! Diva going to go down there. The charge is good. That's going to be it for Zarya. Oh no, indeed. Bud's trying to get the trade onto Fancy Pants. Going to have some big autos, but the bigger autos from Zul'jin. And Weary Day going to retreat. Going for it all.
What I said?
Didn't quite happen.
You remember what I said about how TFzugrugs can't win an objective?
I did.
Well, it turns out that's not exactly 100% true when everybody in the enemy team is dead. That smooths things along considerably. So we may see red side play for their first objective here. Actually, not even going so far as to start it yet, as blue team timers start to dwindle.
Sony going to jump on that shrine there.
Yeah, Weary Day taking a long time to go ahead and solo this bot camp, but they know they've got all the time in the world. Zergling doing something similar on top bruisers. Blue team not going to have a ton of time to contest this, may not even choose to do so at all, instead securing what map pressure they can. Red team possibly thinking about setting this up for a 39 situation, giving them some time to clear camps if blue team is foolish enough to capture, which they are not so far. Actually, Weary Day going ahead and capping bottom. But red team possibly going to take an opportunity to take a bruiser camp, get their lane situation situated, and then go ahead and finish off this objective.
Red Robot going to get the last couple hits to try to put the 39 out of 40 on the board. It's good enough for Medivh. It's good enough for Infernal Shrines. Actually, capping the bottom here is WildHeart. Going to get some counter pressure in the bottom lane. That's going to mean TFzugrugs is going to have to delay for quite a while here, and Malfield, I think, is going to start moving on to the point to try to put TFzugrugs on the clock here. Sonya getting some push in the top lane, but WildHeart is threatening a keep down here.
Yep, Sonya just looking to go ahead and finish this off, actually getting into a bit of a 1v1 situation with Zergling over there, pushing him away, as we see both teams duking it out in bot lane near this keep. Explosion Zone not able to set up a kill. Responsive Bloodlust, great disengage from Buds right there. Beautiful speed barrier once Buds is out of position to get him back in position. BitKid may be finding himself too deep. He's actually going to go ahead and drop that explosion. Sonya securing the mid Punisher. Going to be cleared by Malthael, but Sonya's still in there on Unaverted.
Unaverted could be in a little bit of trouble here. The stun is good onto Sonya. BitKid trying to just bonk and get on out of there. They still have a fort to retreat to. Looks like WildHeart managed to not only put some pressure in the bottom lane. Oh gosh, it just keeps on going. I think BitKid's going to get out of here. There's the taunt onto D.Va. Zergling coming on down as well. It's going to be a camp steal here for TFzugrugs, and it's the fight that never ends. D.Va getting some bonks. They still have a fort to retreat to, and finally, TFzugrugs going to retreat here. But through all of that, WildHeart not only drew attention to the bottom lane, got bottom lane siege, forced the early cap onto the Punisher there.
Red Robot?
But they got the free clear.
Ooh, Red Robot
going on to Zergling.
For that aggressive pick, but Uther just the capability to drop that cleanse at the drop of a hat. Definitely intercepting that a bit. Going to have a lot of auto attacks able to reset that cleanse cooldown here soon. But, you know, I could have told you from draft that these were going to be, this is going to be the game of the long team fight. And I think I actually did as much. These fights are huge. You said D.Va's going for the bonks and Zul'jin's got the stonks. Okay, both teams stacked up a lot, but blue team actually going in for top push. No minion wave with them yet, forcing out some hearts from TFzugrugs, but not before they get a significant chunk of damage onto this red side keep.
Keep going down to half health here. Zul'jin is in, so WildHeart trying to get out, but there's the Bloodlust to try to get to disengage. Flailing Swipe coming on in from Buds. This is going to be a long way out as there's a lot of slows on the side of TFzugrugs. Here comes Sonya on the flank. Going to be cut off there by Zarya. There's another taunt onto BitKid, but able to drop off the bomb here. Going to split TFzugrugs for now. Once again, this building in the top lane will provide a point of retreat for WildHeart, and they will get away. Unbelievable peels coming in.
Beautiful escape by them. I really thought that it might have been done for them once they were caught down 20, but no. The disengage power that they have between speed barrier, and that was a very fast mech pop, but the disengage speed they have with the speed barrier and with the flailing swipes buys them so much time on the escape that these engages have to be crisp between cleanse, knockbacks, speed. It is hard to get a kill on this double support comp that WildHeart has.
Even with D.Va in pilot form, WildHeart is still looking for opportunities to re-engage. They don't exactly have the offlane pressure that they have had in this series when they go for this. It looks like top fort will be going over to TFzugrugs here. WildHeart finally forced to retreat. And TFzugrugs, they want to keep up the pressure. They know that if the next objective comes up and they don't have a player advantage, they're in trouble.
And I'm just looking at WildHeart and I'm thinking to myself, so much of their comp provides armor. But how much is that armor worth when Zul'jin ignores it?
Armor ignoring from Zul'jin, no mercy at 16, absolutely going to be shredding through WildHeart here. TFzugrugs, they find the kill onto Zarya and they're going to continue the pressure here. Taunt is good onto D.Va once again, trying to pop that mech. Warbringer from Red Robot going to pop BitKid right out of that mech once again. Zergling just able to work the edges, try to distract members of TFzugrugs. Zarya down, they're going to have to back off, and this could be a train that don't stop here for TFzugrugs.
Yeah, TFzugrugs not even opting to go for the objective and delaying their value. No, they want their value right now. They're going to walk right up and start hitting this keep. Adrenaline stacked to the sky. Earlier, we saw 75 armor coming out from Biotic Armor, and to Adrenaline, it might as well be 0, because it effectively is. Flailing swipes coming out from Buds, but that's not going to stop TFzugrugs. They got their keep. They got what they wanted. Ooh, even BitKid taking a lot of damage in the process. As Zul'jin stacks it up more.
Here. There's the taunt onto D.Va. But with Zarya up, this could be a tough push indeed. Zergling trying to keep members of TFzugrugs close. But the bottom objective is up. We've got a frozen shrine. This is exactly what WildHeart wants. As long as they can get onto this shrine, I think they've got this under control. Zarya a little bit behind here. That's going to give TFzugrugs the opportunity to jump onto this. Actually, a lot of last hits going over to WildHeart. Here comes the Bloodlust once again. Sonya coming in from the backside as well. Great defense matrix from Pit Kid there. And it's a total fight over these minions. 21-3 here for WildHeart. So many last hits. Weary Day in some trouble. The double Divine Shield is going to be enough to save from that damage. Zergling trying to get away as well as Fancy Pants is on the chase. 31 minions here for WildHeart. Still continuing the chase onto Zergling. Malthael in some trouble here. Adrenaline actually getting really low in the back. Manages to stay alive, turn around, and get the kill onto Malthael. It's 34 minions here. Are WildHeart going to commit to this?
Did get taking a lot of damage in the process. Adrenaline full HP running up. And I gotta say, those slaps to try to disrupt the Bloodlust, that's a lot less effective after Bloodlust lasts 16 seconds.
Zergling's coming down the backside. TFzugrugs. Are they going to come back to stop this?
I think he's got it. I think he's got it. Oh, beautiful W by Zul'jin.
38.
Zul'jin denying the finishes?
Oh, no! Doesn't get it. Unaverted trying to poke in now. Zarya trying to get some lands, but he can't see where those minions are. Moving in there.
Oh!
It goes
and
over
no
to WildHeart. Adrenaline is so low. Unaverted. Probably giving their life here. There's the taunt. That's going to be it for Zarya, but this Punisher pushing down the bottom lane is going to provide some pressure. I don't know if it's enough here. TFzugrugs, I think they're just going to go straight to core.
Yeah, I mean, they can ignore this Uther. All he's really going to do is dismount a few people. He can't credibly threaten them. If he gets too close, he's just going to die. They know that they've got the race here, but Stukov and D.Va are coming up soon. I don't think it's enough, but anything can happen.
Buds is up. Here comes D.Va as well. That's two Divine Shields. Core is at 50%, but Sonya is locked in. TFzugrugs bringing it back to a 1-1 series score. GG.
That Stukov emoji in the chat is horrifying. I will immediately be vomiting. That was quite a game for sure. Tying up the series, a bit of a surprise right there, but I gotta say, just if Zul'jin gets that many stacks and is able to get to his armor ignoring versus such an armor-based comp and still be stacked to the sky, it is a very tough sell to try to beat that at that point. Very well executed by TFzugrugs. Maybe thought, on the side of WildHeart, maybe thought that they could end a little bit before that. Perhaps certainly looked at times like they could have maybe gone for it, but down 3 kills to 14, definitely a lot of issues in the late game there versus this team. Zugrugs just pushing in, knowing they had the advantage the whole time. Good stuff.
Very well played. It was the double support, but one of the siegingest supports there in Rhaegar. Then with the Zul'jin Sonya, that's just so much building damage. Very, very well played there by TFzugrugs for sure. Pit Kid actually top damage here, bringing it in for WildHeart, and yeah, Adrenaline on the Zul'jin just doing a ton of work. We're going to go to a quick break here before we set up for game number 3. Don't go far. We'll be back soon. We're in now. All right, we are back. Lobby is going to be forming up here in just a moment. Jazzaline coming in with the raid. Hope you had a nice Storm qualifier yourself. We are a 1-1 series here, Mochrie.
Yeah, and I gotta say thank you, Jazzaline. She actually hosts a weekly tournament Friday nights, Girls Gang Squad. Fun stuff. Go watch it this Friday. But in the meantime, we are currently on game 3 of TFzugrugs versus WildHeart, the CCL team doing very well this past season, and some random CCL and CCL adjacent players, I believe is how you described it to me. Third game, Battlefield of Eternity. I like this map. Battlefield of Eternity has a unique draft structure where wave clear not as much of a priority as normal. You can run some comps that you don't see on any other map. You can run Li Ming Genji, get full resets, full damage, no wave clear. I'm ready to see it. I just love how Battlefield of Eternity makes a lot of drafts viable. I think this is going to be a good game 3 in this tied series.
Absolutely. These teams have both shown a lot of prowess around the team fight. There's a little bit of macro, not as much as, say, a Dragonshire. But, you can get some work done in the side lanes. You can play a slow game. You can play a blow-up. Yeah, I'm excited to see what these teams pull out here, if they've got anything tricky up their sleeves, or if they're just going to stick to the old tried and true. Yeah. This one could really go either way. I'm excited to see how these two are going to clash on a map like Battlefield.
Yeah, Battlefields of Eternity is a map that I'm intimately familiar with and always want to see a Tracer on. Like I mentioned, wave clear not a big priority. Why not pick an assassin who has none whatsoever? So I always want to see that, but unfortunately a lot of players not really of the same opinion of the hero that I am right now. So I'm doomed to eternal disappointment when it comes to Tracer picks. But regardless, I think this is going to be a fantastic Game 3. I'm looking forward to the drafts. Medivh definitely going to be part of it. Stukov been big. Cassia still banned. Hogger, so many possibilities. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely here. We're getting the lobby figured out. They've decided that we're banning for both teams, apparently. We'll have to see if we can do that. Caster draft has been called in the chat.
Yeah, no, it's a caster draft, so it's more like a playground situation. We choose our own teams. So, Crushinator, I would like to go ahead and first pick Pit Kid. Please pick your two.
I will take Legacy and Unaverted.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? These guys very rude, just kind of assuming the teams that we were going to pick right off the bat. Don't know what's going on there. But Game 3's draft starting out. Medivh ain't making it past first pick. I'm just calling it right now. Let's see what happens.
I gotta think it's banned away. In this map, or just between these two teams in particular, we saw TFzugrugs play it and then ban it, so obviously a very high priority over on their side for sure. Battlefield of Eternity, it is WildHeart that has first pick here, so it was TFzugrugs that chose the map. And yeah, I mean, like we were saying earlier, there's maps that you've just got to be ready to play. And, Shrines is one of them, and based on play rates, based on strategies that can unfold, I think Battlefield's another. So the map picks are pretty standard here in this series.
Yep, Battlefield of Eternity. Chromie, definitely a big threat on this map with her area control, her vision control with traps, her ability to poke at the Immortal from incredible range. It's real hard to miss a target that doesn't move. Definitely a first ban that makes sense for me.
Chromie taken off the board here. It's going to be D.Va taken off next here by TFzugrugs. So that's there's some pretty powerful first pickable heroes now available with those two taken away. You mean you're thinking it's Hog or Medivh are the next two bans, but if WildHeart leaves both of those up, they could possibly get one. Do you think a first pick Hogger is something that you would take here on Battlefield?
I think that as I've established before, Pit Kid, he picks what he sees. Pit Kid sees the game in 9 dimensions, and most of us see the game in 2. So he's definitely on another level from me. I won't even begin to talk about it. But Medivh left open instead, an Utherban coming out right here, and Hogger taken away by TFzugrugs.
Medivh is up. I mean, you can take it first. It's absolutely a first pickable hero. Unaverted going to lock in the Hanzo to start off with, a very high priority race hero. Should you build Scatter, which I would assume is the plan, but we'll have to see what the choice is here.
I will say, I assumed that an earlier Hanzo would be Scatter, and instead we saw target practice in the very first game of the series on Dragonshire, so that caught me by surprise. And I know Unaverted is a player that's not afraid to build things his own way. Caught a lot of fire for his Nazebo build in the CCL, actually. But yeah, I would expect a Scatter build this game.
Be a Diablo Deckard rotation from TFzugrugs, a pretty classic wombo combo with the stay a while and listen into the apocalypse. So outlining their plans on the outset here are TFzugrugs.
Right now, Diablo Deckard coming in. That's a lot of engage pressure from the side of red team. Blue team doesn't accurately and easily take anti-engage, disengage, like for example Stukov, who just popped up as I was saying that. that could cause potential issues for WildHeart. Red still a lot of options that they can go with the rest of their draft, but generally a really solid opening from both teams here. I'm ready to see Stukov again, central part of this entire situation, and Diablo typically a pretty strong virulent reaction target here. Garrosh being banned away, that might clue in WildHeart as to the kind of DPS they want to take here.
Absolutely. Garrosh great at zone control and pretty lethal versus short-range heroes. Could possibly tip off maybe a Jaina pick alongside this, possibly an Orphea. Both of those are fairly common with this style of engage. We're going to see the Medivh ultimately banned away here by WildHeart. With Diablo already picked, that makes a lot of sense.
And I like that you mentioned Jaina, because Jaina historically not the best pickup on Battlefield of Eternity until some very recent buffs to Ice Fury Wand and generally to her early game talents. Jaina became much more of a viable pick on Battlefield of Eternity when she gained the effective ability to nearly just spam her W, her Blizzard, on the Immortal. It gives her actually very high race compared to what she used to pick, but instead we're going to see a Li Ming, an artillery mage, just like Chromie was banned out earlier, and another Sonya for Ibtings here. Just really solid standard stuff so far, but I will say, one thing that I'm always looking out for is how well a team can play Diablo Li Ming together. That is a combo that it is very easy to mess each other up, and that is a true test of your coordination as a team.
Absolutely. Just knowing when your tank is going to hit the charge and flip, or the flip charge, is so important when you're aiming those abilities, when they've got to land right on time. We'll have to see how those two sync up here. It's going to be Mei and Yrel. Mei very strong with the area control. Yrel able to sort of live on those flanks. Make sure that Li Ming doesn't get too much free damage out there. Adrenaline with the last pick is going to lock in the Sylvanas. Looking like a possible push for an early game victory here by TFzugrugs.
Beautiful thing about Sylvanas is that anytime you ever get a big push, it can be amplified just in a big way. You ever get a late game Immortal? Well, that's going to blow right through the fort or keep or whatever it's on. Definitely puts some pressure on and makes nearly every Immortal a win condition, despite what the map may look like. Both teams with solid approaches here. Mei recently buffed, though. Really interested to see Justing's approach to the character and how disruptive he can be to this TFzugrugs team.
I will be very interested to see his play style. I see a lot of Meis at my level out there in Storm League, always going for those max range combos and basically hitting them never. But seeing, the short range stuff hit a lot makes me have a lot of hope for our Ice Princess here. Let's get into game number 3. Trying to close out this series, both of our teams, but on the left in the blue, WildHeart. Pit Kid is going to be on the Mei, Wary Day on the Stukov, Buds is on Tychus, Unaverted playing Hanzo, and Zergling on the Yrel.
And on the right side on TFzugrugs, we have Legacy playing Deckard, Fancy Pants on the Li Ming, Red Robot, Worst Tank in CCL on Diablo, Ibtings on Sonya, and Adrenaline, aka CPX, on that Sylvanas.
Here we go. Game number 3 is underway here. We do see that scatter first pick, or first talent there from Hanzo. Going to be trying to stack that up in the early going. Yrel still thinking about the options there on level 1 as they wait for the Sonya matchup in the top lane. They have nerfed Dauntless a couple times, but taking a look over at the side of TFzugrugs, maybe you take Light of Caribor here, and that is actually going to be the pick for Yrel in the top lane.
Well, you've got a crystal ball, evidently, for those picks. Certainly the only possible way you could have deduced that pick, as we see both teams duking it out here. And one thing that I really love to see that really spices up a Battlefield of Eternity game is strong early game camp and rotational pressure. What happens before the first objective is we see Diablo going in over the wall, already huge damage in response, keeping him in the stun. Fitkid, beautiful response, controlling that area like a true Mei does. And you know what I said? I like to see that spicy early game action. Unaverted long jump.
Whoa! Magic
Olympic
gold
almost medal jumping out here.
That was a wow. I can't believe the distance that covered, and needed every inch of that distance because Fancy Pants was right there with the magic missiles. And WildHeart gonna try to take an early bottom camp. Diablo's already on the way back here, but with Sylvanas heading to the top lane, it looks like WildHeart is going to be able to pick this up. Meanwhile, Ibtings and Adrenaline up there in the top lane going to grab the alternate camp. There are 5 members of WildHeart down here in the bottom lane, Mochrie. It's an interesting setup we got here.
Oh yeah, and I think that that's one of the big differences between 2-lane maps in competitive and in Storm League. I remember I was hearing about Cure one time on a stream. He's talking about playing the off lane on Braxis. And he said throughout his entire competitive career, he doesn't think he played a single game where he was truly alone in Braxis and top lane the entire time. When you get to the competitive level, there are rotations happening all the time on 2-lane maps. You're constantly going into those side lanes, packing players into them. You're constantly having your offlaner get wave clear advantage and use that opportunity to rotate out of their lane and create a 5v4 in the other lane. That's what I said. It's the big difference between competitive and Storm League is how they play the laning phase on 2-lane maps. That's definitely a massive factor, in addition to the many other differences. But that's one way that you're really going to see those differ. Both teams picking up their bruisers maybe a little bit early here. Red team, I think, taking it at a more ideal time, just a couple seconds later here, maybe just because they're clearing it slower. But red team going to have some time to clear out bottom blue bruisers for this first objective.
Shaman Camp will arrive in bottom lane first. TFzugrugs looking to step up here, but WildHeart is sort of protecting this camp. Buds is taking the flip here. Oh, and gets the edge of the triangle. Tychus is going to go down here. Red Robot looking for a possible other flip. Fancy Pants a little low in the back line there. Unaverted just peppering up the Li Ming a little bit there.
Red Robot going in, negated by Pit Kid's Ice and the Silence from Weary Day. Good counter engage as a lot of damage coming out onto the red team. Adrenaline nearly going down. I gotta say, Unaverted, that's a player that I really respect on Rage Assassin. Okay, Red Robot. I don't know why you would go in while your teammates are currently so threatened. Adrenaline, what are you doing?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, no.
My poor heart. Oh.
I keep, like, thinking, like, okay, surely they're done and I can talk now. And then, like, they just keep, you know, being wild. And I guess
it's
that's
still
the name.
happening.
Legacy, Adrenaline.
Oh, no. Unaverted actually taken out. Weird Day gonna get slowed down there by the Deckard. No analysis allowed today. We are team fighting. Weary Day trying to get away from Ibtings. That's gonna be it for Stukov. Red Robot is back, trying to get the flip onto Zergling. Nice knockback from the Templar's verdict. Tychus has been wailing away on the top lane there, so we're gonna be pretty close on the race here. Hanzo making their way over. Gonna be a second late. I feel like maybe this goes over to TFzugrugs.
Pit Kid moving across here. TFzugrugs capture right here. Pit Kid doing his best to interfere. Zergling coming in, gonna buy him a lot of time, but not quite enough. As TFzugrugs coming out with this Immortal. However, the globes are definitely going over to WildHeart as they step forward. Pit Kid lacking a lot of mana as we see multiple recalls on the side of TFzugrugs. They want to make sure they're nice and healthy for this push, but that is going to cost them some Immortal health as they are unable to go here and secure it. WildHeart possibly taking advantage of it here in just a moment.
WildHeart going to get a little bit of a free clear on this objective. Of course, being the first one of the game, you generally don't expect it to do a whole lot. But with this comp of like Li Ming, Sylvanas, they want to get the most out of these objectives, and having to back after that extended fight, I think puts TFzugrugs at a little bit of a disadvantage. They really want to get a lot out of each objective.
They definitely want those objectives to get a lot, but I gotta say, they did get pressure in the side lane. Sylvanas actually taking out the entire top gate. That does mean that if things stay the way they are, the next Immortal will go to bottom lane, as it always goes to the less pushed lane out of the two. Some damage trading
in the top lane. Buds is clearing, trying to come along the backside. Urel has to back out. Buds is coming on through, though. Gonna get some damage onto Sonya.
Oh, my heart can't take
for the
this
trade. Tychus trying. Oh, what Fancy Pants. Disrespecting the 1v1.
We're at 8 kills already, dude, in 6 minutes. What's going on here? Even though you can tell these teams are high-level teams, I can see the strategy in their moves, but it is just a bloodbath as they trade hits back and forth. But Adrenaline already taking advantage of this moment. Any small push being able to turn it into a larger push. Getting that Black Arrows cast off one more time, but Pit Kid is here to interfere. Adrenaline's out of there. Slight XP advantage going into level 10 for TFzugrugs.
A little bit of an experience lead over for TFzugrugs as well. They're going to have a slight amount of time where they've got their level 10s coming up on the next Immortal phase. Grabbing the bottom camp as well. That's going to give them even more time on 10s. Could they look for a possible invade? Looks like they're starting to move across. It'd be a pretty aggressive play, but they've got their 10s. Sylvanas still in the top lane. I got to think that means they're not going to go for it. They're going to try to just set up for this Immortal.
And now some poke damage coming out from red side onto blue Immortal. Red Robot walking away for a moment. Good route from Deckard, buying them some time as everybody backs up. Hold on, an ice wall. Oh, and the response, the arrow, the silence, the everything coming out. Huge combo onto red side's backline as Urel jumps forward. Big jump forward from Unaverted as well. Leaping all kinds of distances. Red Robot gets knocked miles back into the backline. That's going to be a kill for blue side here. They're feeling good. WildHeart with the advantage.
WildHeart playing that fight very, very nicely. Going in with that ice wall engage, layering those CCs. We saw the Dragon Arrow come in to interrupt the Deckard and slow any follow-up to that stay a while and listen. Great job here from WildHeart. They're looking at possibly Adrenaline here, getting this bottom lane pushed out. We are going to see the halftime show come on through. Ibtings capping that Shaman camp in the back. And WildHeart, they're splitting a little bit here now. They know they've got time to get the fight that they want.
Yep, both teams setting up right now. Red team currently with the advantage. Bruisers in the side lane. Buds knows that he wants to clear that out, but less than 10,000 HP left on the red side of Mortal here. Both teams trading damage back and forth, vying for that vision control throughout the mid lane. Ibting's getting into a bit of a squabble with Zergling on the side. Gonna put some pressure on him. Hanzo all the way back in the base, hits a pre-tap because he knows a fight's coming. Arrow off ice wall, only hits Ibtings.
Great ice wall there to peel away Weary Day. There's the stay while. It's actually going to land onto 2 here. Follow-up stun onto Zergling is good. Urel trying to get the knockback. Oh, but there it is. Ibtings surges in to get the kill. That's a lot of low health bars, though, over on the side of TFzugrugs, and the Odin is starting to push in.
Yeah, I mean, even with the 5v4, with those low health bars, with that Odin, and with the knowledge that this is going to be a bit of a rough one, down some ults right now. Actually, now they have the ult advantage as Odin wears off. Fancy Pants going in, doesn't quite connect, however. The red team shifting it back on the offensive. Combo onto Hanzo!
Oh my goodness, the save is almost there.
Hanzo
taken down. Mind control onto Tychus. That's a double kill here for TFzugrugs. Their silence just continues on. Look at the knockback. Sylvanas is down. Ice wall onto the back is going to stop Legacy. Zergling moving in, hitting Legacy back. Weary Day could be in some trouble trying to get away using this Immortal zoning. Look at the leap. Ibtings is all over Weary Day. There's the knockback from Zergling. Sonya's going to fall. It's a counter double kill from WildHeart, and they may want more. Stukov gonna go down here. There's the Dragon Arrow! The Templar's verdict lands and hits them right into the Dragon Arrow. What a play from WildHeart. Fancy Pants trying to get away. Zergling wants the jump. Won't get it. Oh my goodness.
Oh no, the mind control. Oh,
mind
that's
control is there.
That's a tragedy right there.
Meanwhile, there's a map to be played. It looks like WildHeart did get that race in. They're gonna have about a 30% shield Immortal pushing in the top lane. We're up to 17 kills here, Mochrie.
Yeah, I don't even know, man. It's crazy. It's wild. I just guess that this shows what happens when you don't have 4 healers in the game keeping everybody alive between these two teams. Red Robot, no fear at all, diving in there. Blood stepping forward, and that's going to be an Odin. That's an Ice Wall. Dragon Arrow is currently on CD. Diablo taking a lot of damage, though. He's going to go down right here, and blue team with the opportunity to take a fort, but not much more than that as we see Sonya coming in from the side lane.
Just so many circles Diablo had to walk through. Couldn't get the job done, unfortunately. Moving right past this fort. There's the Dragon Arrow actually onto 3. May Blizzard cutting off Red Robot here, but turning this around, TFzugrugs with a giant orb onto the backline of WildHeart. Ardent Defender going to be popped here by Zergling. Legacy caught out here, slowed by Urel, but there's the counter leap. Ibtings moves in and finds the kill onto Urel. Pit Kid trying to get away as well. Tychus goes down above. Sylvanas going down below. It's another bloodbath. Turning things around here. WildHeart. Oh, Li Ming popping off. Ice wall into 1. May is going to be taken out though. Weary Day wants this hit onto Ibtings, but will not find the kill. Another 5 kills in that fight.
What is happening, dude? These guys are going way off script for this series. All right, I don't know what's happening at all.
I mean,
I'm trying to follow it. Li Ming's going in for kills and just getting popped. It's something to watch for sure, but I really have no clue who's going to win this so far.
WildHeart's got
going
more
on?
buildings. I guess that's a good thing.
As if that means anything, you know? Who knows? You know, it's kind of all over the place right here. As we currently see Top Siege going over to the side of the blue team, and they're going to look to make the bottom one as well.
Oh no,
But
it's
Red
another
side has something to
bloodbath
say about it.
incoming. 5v5 onto this bottom camp.
Area
Red Robot
fight.
moves in. Ice Wall onto the back. There's
Orb
the
doesn't
leap in
connect.
from Ibtings.
Oh, Weary
Swipe.
Day slaps.
Oh, Pit Kid moved
Huge
off the point
arrow.
there. Arrow
Huge
onto the back, but the sleep
root.
is there. Urel gonna go
Resets.
down first. But there's the Blizzard splitting the backline of TFzugrugs. May is
Resets.
taken out. There goes Tychus. And somehow, TFzugrugs losing nobody in this fight. They find the triple. They're going to use the black arrows to push here. And we have an immortal spawning in just 10 seconds. This is really bad news here for WildHeart.
I feel like these team fights, instead of being decided as they are, could effectively be decided via multiple dice rolls in a row, a la D&D, and it would have roughly the same amount of variance and back and forth action that we see right here. Just all over the place. It would have the same level of predictability too, because I don't know. I just see heroes
Yeah.
run at each other and then a bunch of them die. Man, I don't know. Maybe I'm just far too small brained for this.
I mean, there's a call and response with the ults, but I mean, it's in a varying order. It's, we see the leap go out and we see the sleep go out, but not before the ice wall comes out, the dragon arrow. It's just who gets the layering right. TFzugrugs looking very strong here. They've got their 16s and they've got a level. Tychus and Sonya still in the top lane here. This is WildHeart's trying to put up the defense here, but there's some good poke from both Deckard and Li Ming going onto this Immortal.
If WildHeart wanted the time to get to 16, big damage
Oh,
onto
no, Diablo's
Diablo.
down.
Wow. They're going to
Great.
chase it in. Zergling wants to go for it. Ice Wall lands onto two members of TFzugrugs. Big leap. Wait a second.
Oh
Hold
my
on. We're all
goodness,
over the
turning it
place.
around.
Okay.
Zergling taken out as
resets.
well.
Fancy Pants about to run out of mana. Walks straight into his
no.
silence. Actually turns right around. And that's not going to be chain kills. Fancy Pants doing his best Grandpa Simpson impression with how he came right in and out of that. And it's big back and forth, but this has got to be a red side Immortal after all is said and done.
My goodness, much like Grandpa Simpson, gotta be angry at the sky. Those dragon arrows just coming from the clouds and messing up all the plans of TFzugrugs, but they've got all their heroes, they've got the Immortal, and
got a
WildHeart is
Sylvanas.
on the back foot here.
They've got a Sylvanas, the push amplifier, right here. As we see, Black Arrows is going to be available for the push. This is going to be a very healthy Immortal knocking on blue side's door. Barring something catastrophic, I don't think this will credibly threaten to end the game. But you never know, as Pitkid already
Control's
big
gonna
damage
land.
going on him.
May has already popped the trait, Ice is on out of there. There's the
Huge
Dragon
arrow.
Arrow, Legacy trying to move back towards those potions. Red Robot getting away from unaverted as well, just getting peppered up though. Ice Wall not going to land onto the back line. Zergling has moved back to try to keep up the engage. Immortal shielding is now gone. I gotta think the TFzugrugs backs off, and there they go. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, sums it up well. As we see 29 total takedowns happening, not even a keep taken on the side of red team, but a level and a half advantage is nothing you can shake a stick at. I'm pretty sure that means it's big.
That sounds
here
pretty
on the
big to
red
me.
side. I don't know. I want to make sure I get my turns of phrase right. But that is
We'll have
a
to watch
solid
more old
advantage.
Simpsons episodes to get that one.
They want to hold on to their advantage going into level 20. I think the smart move by the side of TFzugrugs, minimize all conflict. At this point, it's your lead to lose, safely get level 20, and then you've got your ride in to win this series and get on your way to winning this qualifier.
WildHeart going to try to create some pressure in the bottom lane while they can, but the top lane Causer Camp is going to start threatening this keep. If they stay here, it's going to be forts for keeps. TFzugrugs is starting to move in. Ibting stops the back of Zergling. We're starting to see some hearts. There's the black arrows from Adrenaline already taking this structure down to about half. but they know that the pressure is coming. Red Robot throws the Flame Stomp into the bush. Oh, there's the Ice Wall, not going to land. Oh, that could have been it there for WildHeart.
Yep, and definitely a very aggressive Ice Wall, but after the most recent patch with May, lowering the cooldown of Ice Wall from 70 to 50 seconds, you can be aggressive with them. You know that you can pull the trigger, and if it doesn't land, you're going to have another one soon anyway, so it's not a big deal. Ice Wall about 27 seconds away from coming back up. Blue side playing very aggressively. You note that they're going to do this because they want to fight before level 20. Mind control landing on the May. Huge combo.
Out. The trait is good, though. Red Robot in all sorts of trouble. Manages to get the APOC off. Actually staying alive, but Zergling on the back line. Going to delete the Diablo. Scatter arrow coming on through. That's going to be Sonya going down. That's a lot of low health bars on the side of WildHeart. But they've got their 2 kills. Can they get back and get healed up? Stukov trying to spread that pathogen. It looks like WildHeart will have a slight race advantage here. Mirror Ball Li Ming and the Sylvanas still doing a lot of damage, actually. It's going to be pretty even going into halftime.
I saw a move right there. WildHeart, multiple of them committing, trying to finish the Immortal before the stun went off. You know, get it to halftime, and just they all ate it. Like 3 of them ate the stun. It was great. But we see 2 members of TFzugrugs down as blue side going in very aggressively over the wall W excision from Stukov, and even down 20 with 2 members of TFzugrugs dead. WildHeart can feel pretty confident in their ability to threaten this. Mind control into Urel, combo from Li Ming, that's going to be it though. Blue side Immortal.
There's the Ice Wall. Oh, it's actually going to catch. Oh, but WildHeart was already getting back. All right, we're going to have an Immortal pushing in the bottom lane. Top lane is going to be dealt with here by Zergling. Rest of WildHeart going to catch this up as well. They know they've got a little bit of time here to get down to the bottom lane.
Yeah,
TFzugrugs is starting to set up for the defense. Yeah, I definitely like getting that top lane clear to make sure that there's not some base race going on while you're trying to push into this keep. Nice scout there by Pitkid. We'll see Red Robot in the brush. Oh, Dragon Arrow onto 2, actually. Ice is on back.
Bullseye.
Look at all that, the silence. Leap in the area crater. Impting's actually pushed out of the crater, I guess, by the flailing swipe. Legacy deleted right on that gate. Weary Day just popping those single swipes. That's another 2 kills here for WildHeart. Immortal's already lost the shield. Oh, there's the Ice Wall once again onto 1. Blizzard comes on down. There's the silence. Sylvanas never had a chance. WildHeart threatened severely in this game, but it looks like they're surging forward for the victory.
Oh yeah, this one is nearly done, so Ibting's got it back. Fancy Pants just relegated to poking from the base. This is a near indefensible position, but Pitkid even going in for another kill. On top of that, oh, beautiful handler from Zergling. The leap, they're trying, it's a valiant effort, but Ibting's, it's just too much. WildHeart takes the series 2-1, winning this best of 3. Very well played in, what is that, how many kills? 36? Whew.
Bringing up the post-game screen, let's get the final count. 17 and 19, 36 kills to be had in that last game. Up until like that 16 mark, we had the double kills and the triples after that, but before that it was just like 6, 7, 8 deaths per fight. It was, oh my goodness, what a back and forth. WildHeart ultimately coming out ahead there. We saw unaverted on the Hanzo, nearly 100,000 hero damage. Fancy Pants on the Ming, getting pretty close to that as well with the 86. Wow, that was a clash of 2 very aggressive styles there, Mochrie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild, you know, like I mentioned before, the experience from going from a Medivh game to a Hanzo game, I believe was the next one, or to a Zul'jin game. The experience going from a Medivh game to a Zul'jin game was a left turn. Going from game 2 to game 3 was a bit of a left turn for us. That was
turn off a cliff. Goodness
yeah,
me.
Absolutely. We got a little radical going into game 3 here. I felt like at no point throughout the night did I understand a single thing that was happening in the course of the team fights. I'm like, oh yeah, this team's clearly ahead. I will say something to that effect, and then by the time I'm ready to say it, it's already started to go the other way. That was quite a series to watch for sure. I had a blast. That was something.
Absolute clinic from these 2 teams. Just, yeah, I mean, like you said, the fights would happen, and you'd think it's like, oh, 2 kills, it's over. And then all of a sudden, 2 counter kills. And you're like, wait, I thought, didn't they just win?
Nope.
It's just, no, apparently not. They used too many of their abilities. You know, you got to be careful pressing buttons in this here Heroes of the Storm game. Because apparently that can turn
Yeah,
right
I mean,
around on
I've
you.
pressed buttons the incorrect way plenty of times, and I can tell you about how that's worked out for me. And right here, just absolutely a back and forth battling series. I'm looking at 7 Death Tychus, looking at 7 Death Diablo that game. Just so much pressure from both sides. Big combos, big arrows. That was a good time.
Man. Well, WildHeart gets the 2-1 series victory. They're going to be advancing to the next round of this Storm Division qualifier number 5.